I'm going to add a link to the fastest knockout in a world title fight. It happened yesterday. Zolani Tete knocked out Siboniso Gonye. The fight was for Tete's WBO World Bantamweight title. Don't blink. The official time of the stoppage was 11, count 'em, 11 seconds. I thought the guy was dead. I know you hear that sometimes. People say it half jokingly, but like for the first 5 seconds, I mean, when you when you say out, this dude was out. Gonya. So I saw another fight like that back in the day with a guy named Jimmy Thunder. It was a heavyweight. I'm going to see if I can find it, and if I can, I'll add that link to the bottom too. So check him out. So Julian Williams, he moved to 24 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, with a unanimous decision victory over Sugar Shea, ISHE Smith, who dropped to 29 wins, 9 losses. I mean, am I being too critical to say that Julian Williams went life and death with ISHE? I don't care what the judges say. Their scores were off the mark. I agree with former boxer Ed Griffin, who I texted back and forth with during the fight. And I had the fight 96-94 for Julian J-Rock. And if you had it 97-93 for Williams, that's fine. 98-92, 99-91, no. That's too wide. It was a good fight. Good fight. Julian came out fast with a solid jab and threw some shots to the head, shots to the body. ISHE tried to fight back in the second round, and he paid for it as he got busted open with a headbutt. And so it caused, oh man, nice cut over his left eye. So Julian began to land well in the third round, and he would do things when they tied up, and even when they didn't, to kind of try to open that cut up, and the cut bothered ISHE early on. In the fifth round, Smith had a good fifth round. He seemed to buzz Williams a bit with his combinations, and so the fight started to heat up. In the seventh round, ISHE landed a nice left hook to the body. In the eighth round, action was stopped as the blood started to come out again, and I think that Julian caught a nice break right there because ISHE was coming on at that point. I thought Smith had a very good ninth. He threw combinations, and as he began to sense it was a close fight. This was a 10-round fight, so that was in the ninth. In the end, though, Floyd Mayweather double-crossed ISHE, and it looks like he might try to cash ISHE out. And if you don't think promoters have influence, either way, on their fighter, then you haven't been watching boxing long enough. So I thought it was a very close fight. Could you argue a draw? Probably so, but when you look at, and I guess the quote of the day will be, the right guy won the fight. I'm sure if I go to Twitter or somewhere, I'll see that. But so I thought Williams won, and there was another accidental headbutt in the 10th round, and ISHE Smith seemed to double over in pain, kind of the equivalent of, or similar to someone who got caught with a low blow, experienced, and sometimes they drop to their knees, sometimes they bend over, like when Andre Ward hit Sergey Kovalev with numerous low blows, and he kind of bent over. But anyway, so that was step one in Julian Williams's comeback. Here's what I think. Here's where I think his team, if they're still par for the course, I think here's where their team is making a mistake. As I stated in the prior video, check out what I toward the middle or end of the previous video, the one right before this, and listen to what I had to say. But to summarize, I'd like to see that this was step one. I'd like to see a 4 or 5 step comeback for Julian Williams, and I understand he fought Joshua Conley also, so, but I'm combining Conley and Smith as step one. They're playing, if Williams beats Smith, which he did, they're going to look for a title shot. I didn't like that thought process then, and I don't like it now. The point I made in the video, to summarize, is that Julian can beat the Joshua Conleys and the ISHE Smiths of the world. I mean, he has all the tools to do that. I liked a lot early, especially early, from what I saw with Williams. I liked it early. I'm going to stop short of calling him a front runner, but he puts in a lot of good work early in fights. The middle and the end, I like to see him work on staying consistent. Don't abandon the jab. Keep throwing to the body. Be smart. Work on your defensive mode as well. So, and your movement. But the point I made is that while he can beat these guys, the Conleys, the Smiths, where exactly is he mentally? When you take a shot like he took from Jamal Charlo, it does something to you mentally. Don't be fooled. I don't care how good you look in the gym. When you step in with the big boys, that's where we see where you are at mentally. So how true, in other words, is the confidence you display? We just don't know. Now, if it were me, I'd take Julian and fight 3 more times after ISHE, at least. And then, if all systems are go at that point, then you shoot for a Jared Hurd or a Lara or a Jermell Charlo. And then if the title opportunity isn't available for you then with any of those guys, then you go ahead and fight a Vanes Martirosyan or a Liam Smith or an Austin Trout who is still in the game. And I think Trout on his comeback. I think what he saw tonight with Julian Williams, and when his advisor gives him that offer sheet with like somewhere between 3 to 5 names on it, he's going to hope Williams is one of those names, or he's going to ask if Julian Williams is one of those names. And that, in a couple of fights for Julian, a couple of more, I think a matchup with Austin Trout would be great. Unfortunately, they're not going to do it that way. They're going to look for a title shot now, but I think that's what they should do, though. Maybe between 3 and 5 fights. Because you really have to make sure this guy is back mentally. And you're not going to find that out in the gym. I just can't put Williams in with a big dog right now after the ISHE Smith fight. Because the first real shot that this kid gets hit with, I'm telling you, he's going to flash back to that Charlo fight. And instead of grabbing and holding, maybe, when he flashes back, he may say something to himself along the lines, okay, I got to come out fighting because I have to keep this guy on me. And as slick and as crafty and as fast as Williams is, when you looked at it at times, he can get caught when he decides to brawl. He was so much quicker than Smith, and yet there were opportunities where he got tagged. Now Smith doesn't hit hard. Smith has 38 fights, and I think he has like, what, 12 knockouts or something? Don't quote me. 11, 12, something around that range. So if your trainer says that you never recovered from the jab in the Charlo fight, that you got dropped by in the second round, the jab, then we know that the uppercut that you got hit with was too much to recover from. So you get hit with a hard shot by a guy who can punch. Where will you be mentally? So here's the key question of the night. The question is about his confidence, or lack thereof. Julian's confidence. He won. He won the fight, yes. But he also went life and death with a 39-year-old with zero offense, no power, wide punches, and who was off about a year and a half. If you went life and death with him, are you ready for the killers who hold the belts? I say no. And I don't think he will. I don't think he will be until he has between 3 to 5 more fights where he gradually steps it up a little bit. Smith was a step up from Conley, yes. I'd still like to go with someone on Smith's level. After this, you pass that test, then you go up a little higher. If you pass the test big time in your next fight, then you can go a little higher. Maybe you start thinking Trout or someone like that, who doesn't hold a belt, who has some experience, but I just wouldn't rush this. Julian wasn't cut in this fight, so in my opinion, he should be in the ring again within the next 3 months, tops. If you can't get a TV date, then fight anyway. But see, these contracts these guys sign, it seems like the Heyman plan is to get these guys on TV, whether it's Bounce or whatever, and then just try to remanufacture these guys, man. I mean, for a time it was Robert Guerrero, but it just seems like, or I should say recycle maybe instead of remanufacture. I mean, you got the Silky Wilkies and the Herreras and the Josecitos and the Areolas and the Colazzos, and then they all get that TV spot. I'm taking the Omar Douglas approach. Omar Douglas, he's fighting at the dump called the 2300 Arena in Philly. He's not even, that's not on TV, and if it is, it's local. But he's not the headliner. He's not the co-feature. He's not even the fight before the co-feature. As far as, like, if you look at the flyer, it's like he's just kind of thrown on there in an 8-rounder. And guess what? That's the way to do it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wish it would. So Julian Williams' quotes. He said, "The win was good and it was a great experience. ISHE Smith is a tough customer. There's a reason he's never been caught. Everyone is talking about his experience, but I've got experience too. This is my second world champion I've fought. I carried that experience into this fight. He is a gritty veteran, and I had to fight on his home turf. It was a great learning experience for me." And that's an excellent quote. Very well spoken there. This was definitely a learning experience for him, and he should continue to learn. There's no rush. I take the rush here should be to get fights and be active. Try to get like 3 fights, like in 6 months, and then if you're ready, hey, go for yours. But we'll see. Let me know what you think below. I thought it was I thought it was close. Maybe some of you had it like 99, 91, something like that. Austin Trout, I'm going to send him a tweet and see if I can get, because I don't have, do I have Austin's number? If so, I'll call him. But I want to get a quote from him, or a response, I should say, a retweet or a tweet, or whatever terminology. He had it 86, 85 on his card for Smith at one point, and I want to just see what his final card read, because if he gave the final round to Smith, then Smith wins by 2 points. If he gave the final round to Williams, then we have a draw. Williams landed the cleaner shots, and I think when you look at fights that way, the way that it went, that was probably the difference. I'm not a fan of the way PBC does things. They don't have any ring card girls, and before you think I'm a dirty old man, there was a fight card earlier this year, and in between every round, the boxer was like, "What round is this?" And then the cornerman was like, "Hey," talking to the chief second. The chief second's talking to the cut guy, like, "What round is this?" Nobody, and they kept asking. You see that ring card girl, and she's holding up that round 5 card, then the next girl at round 6, then the next girl at round 7. I mean, they do serve a purpose. Man, you go to a strip club, you pay these broads like $100 a piece. It's not like a big budget killer. I mean, they have them in the ballroom cards, so obviously you can have them here. That's one thing. The no ring announcer thing in the ring, no fighter walk-ins. I mean, come on, that's all part of the show. And I don't know. There was a reason. There was a real I was leading up to a real reason that I was saying this, and it slipped my mind. So if I can't remember it in the next few seconds, so be it. I want to wish everybody a nice holiday. The Fight Journal will be in the house the Saturday after Thanksgiving. We'll be at the Sergey Kovalev versus Shabransky fight. I'm not sure if I'm going to go to the Miguel Cotto and Saddam Ali, but a week after that I'll be at the what do you call it, the Vasily Lomachenko versus Guillermo Rigondeaux card. I think they're trying to slip what's my man's name from Newark? I think they're trying to slip Shakur Stevenson on that card, and then you got Jason Sosa versus Yuriorkis Gamboa. That should be cool. That should be a good one. Action packed. And yeah, so there was somewhere I was going with this with the PBC, but I'm not going. You know what? We're at the 20-something minute mark. But yeah, gosh, it was somewhere I was going with it. I'll probably just, if I can remember the next video, I'll talk about it. But I wish Trout would have put his final scorecard up. Maybe he did, and I glanced away, turned away, but I don't believe I saw it. And but yeah, I'd like to see some changes. They're not gonna happen, but because they've cut the budget so much. Remember Ray Leonard? Remember Layla Ali? Remember Antonio Tarver? I mean, where's everybody at? And Trout isn't bad. I tell you what, he's better than Robert Easter Jr. Oh man, did you hear him Friday night? And Berto, gosh, I think they brought Berto in. Berto chimed in. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if the intention was to bring him on or if they just pulled him and said, "Look, man, the Easter Bunny's not really bringing it, so we need somebody to get on the microphone." And look, he did his thing. But I like Trout. I like what he brings to the table. He's not Mr. Excitement, but he's not boring at all. Good insight. So, for the most part, there was one fight where I don't know what Trout was talking about or what he was watching, but he's pretty good with it. So, but you got the ring announcer doubling as the broadcast guy. He didn't do it today. They had Fran Charles, who I could live with or without Fran Charles. But the if Ray Flores, they call him Baby Ray Flores. If you watch some of the other cards, like on Spike and Fox Sports, he'll do the ring announcing and then he'll be the commentator also. And if you go back and watch, oh man, it was a fight outdoors in Vegas. It was a couple of months ago, and somebody got knocked. Somebody, oh, who was it? Who was it? It's slipping my mind, but he so he's commentating, and he picked the wrong mic up. Like there was the commentator mic and then the announcer's mic, and he picked the wrong one up, and he kind of caught itself, and it just was. It's like, man, come on. So I'm not sure where Premier's future is going to be. They have a lineup for Fox Sports 1 going into the beginning of the year, but I don't know if it's going to be limited to that. I know the budget has been cut. These fighters aren't getting these salaries that skewed the market like they were in the past, and then they're kind of spreading them out. And Al Heyman is staying in his lane and being the manager / advisor role, as opposed to a pseudo promoter role, which works for me. This has been tried before and it hasn't succeeded, and I think he's learning the same lesson. So anyway, Julian Williams wins. Give me your thoughts about the fight and what you think he should do next, and we'll catch you on the next one.